All right, episode 62. Does the new NAR policy hurt or help us as real estate agents? We're going to get started right now.
We're in the studio. You mad?
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Look at your beautiful faces with your skin on it.
I miss you guys so much. I see you all the time. I'm going to pretend like I still miss you.
I can reach out and touch Brian.
That's not social distancing.
We've been touching each other pretty hard.
Brian and I've been hanging out in person for a few weeks. If we were going to get the COVID, we're already there.
We're ready, exactly.
I'm ready for a freaking haircut.
You guys can't see this. Nick has changed so much as a human being. He walked up from the parking lot today. We had to let him inside because the building's very secure. And I was like, is he wearing... I've never seen his legs before. He's wearing shorts. I didn't, honestly, be 100%. I thought he had robot legs for like the 10 years I've known him.
Crawford
I've never seen him before.
Look, my trainer always bags on Nick about not hitting up leg day because he always posting like selfies of his bicep curls, apparently. Nick's got some decent trunks, though, man.
Does,
I don't want to have to kick him in the thigh and try to knock him down.
If you're skipping leg day, I don't know what I'm doing because your legs are way bigger than mine. So
I will say that this is all Stairmaster.
All Stairmaster.
Stairmaster, and what's the one from the 90s where you squeeze your thigh master?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nick just sitting at home thigh mastering.
My trainers put a new HIIT program in place. We've been working out outside.
Really?
Yep.
I love it, dude.
Maybe sneaking into the gym.
Brian keeps trying to get me to like he's like, hey, we got this access to this HIIT program if you want to do it. I was like, you realize I have a trainer because like if he can't show up, that gives me my excuse for not showing up. I don't need your solutions to my problem.
I don't need personal accountability, right?
That's not what I'm looking for.
We've been doing insanity, dude. It's very difficult.
I'm going to tell you right now, though, I have not worn jeans. I've been wearing the Good Home Team polo shirt, my normal.
Okay.
With workout shorts.
Yes, wearing Under Armour shorts.
Corona started.
I haven't dressed like a productive human being in 8 weeks.
I've been finding myself putting on regular clothes, but ones that don't match at all. Like I'll put on, like it'll be warm outside, so I'll put on shorts, but it's kind of cold in my house, so I'll put on a sweater. It'll be like I'll have flip-flops and shorts and a big sweater on, and I just look ridiculous. Like I've been doing a lot of combinations that I can't really go in public with.
I do like the long sleeve and shorts.
Oh, long sleeve and shorts is actually my summer attire, dude. Like some polo shorts and like a nice, like thin long sleeve.
Yeah.
Business on top, party on the bottom.
Episode 62. First of all, I missed being in the studio.
It sounds so much better in here.
It does.
It does.
Just shows
We can
the
watch for car wrecks
disconnect
again.
the disconnect between our technology at home and what they do in a professional studio. Like this is night and day.
And again, if this is one of your first times watching this or tuning in, if you have not joined us over at TOREACADEMY yet, go over to TOREACADEMY.com. You can go sign up for our webinar. It's TOREACADEMY.com/take10. If you want to sign up for our webinar and to learn how we are still taking 10 plus listings every single month, and it's going to prompt you to sign up for our TOR Academy courses, which is, I think it still says $1 on there. We need to change that.
Why?
Because
I want the extra $1.
it's $27 a month. Corona pricing, $27 a month to join us, or $197 lifetime access. So go over to TOREACADEMY.com/take10 and then join our real estate group called the Only Real Estate Group Worth Being a Part of.
Yep.
That the activity's ebbed and flowed in there lately, and it's picking back up.
Yeah, for sure.
Is Nick implying that we should reduce the discount because coronavirus is gone? Bear trap.
Oh.
Bear trap.
Is the coronavirus gone?
Nick says we should no longer offer a discount because coronavirus is over.
Coronavirus is completely over.
I mean, we're open back up.
How many of your resources did you use from the thousands of dollars you spent to prep?
What
resources? He says.
I will say that I think we overbought.
Can I ask you if you've ended up underground at any point?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Just feel like you really overextended yourself.
I'm gonna say that I'm no longer. I think I'm over being a prepper. That's good. I tested it out.
It's like I barely got to shoot anybody.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna be the prepper anymore. I'm done.
Nick wanted this thing to be way more Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm no longer
There's
interested.
way less fire involved. Like I just wasn't ready for how tame this would be.
I mean, it looked a lot better in the movies.
Yeah. Outbreak made this thing seem way scary.
yeah, exactly.
So, all right.
We're not making light of it, like, seriously.
No, for real.
We got to have some good.
Wash
time
your
here.
hands,
But
seriously.
we are a little bit.
But we're mostly making fun of Nick.
If you're
Yes.
watching this show and you're sensitive, you're probably just on the way wrong
Absolutely.
page.
If you've watched this show for 62 episodes and you're still sensitive, I don't even know what to tell you at this point.
I'm going to say that right now, if you're sensitive, go ahead and tune out because we are going to be talking about the policy that went in effect May 1st.
Yep.
That NAR passed back in November, which I do want to figure out who's voting on these things.
6 dudes, probably, who are being funded very well, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Because this new policy, it's called the Clear Cooperation Policy.
And it's
that-
not clear.
Not
totally.
really. It's actually relatively
And
ambiguous.
cooperation implies that I signed up for this shit.
And I'm not pumped about it at all. So it's
It's-
more like forced cooperation.
Yeah,
It's more like ambiguous,
Yeah.
like maybe.
Ambiguous entrapment policy.
Matt Kelderman has only been wrestling since this all started, so stop making fun of him. That's
true.
Justin Nelson who made
He
the comment.
sees it, yeah, dude. Like, that's all I've been doing. I got my ass thoroughly whipped with a foam sword yesterday because Mortal Kombat entered our world and someone needed to finish me. So he did.
That's the worst. For y'all that can relate, we do a lot of Call of Duty now that we were kind of under quarantine. When you spend like the better part of an hour sneaking around to get weapons and stuff and someone stabs you to death, it is the most humiliating feeling you'll ever experience in your life. It's so bad. And it happens to me on the regular.
Look, the good thing about Corona is it did help us slow down to enjoy some of this time.
Yeah.
Because are we going to continue doing this when things
100%. I'm addicted now,
Are
so
you?
I have
okay.
to.
Yeah. It's like drugs, right?
100%. I can't go back.
So going back to this clear cooperation policy, basically it is. I'm going to paraphrase it here because I have it all this, and I'm like, I'm not going to read this shit. But basically, it states that if you sign a listing and you publicly advertise it for sale, it needs to go into the MLS within 1 business day.
Right.
Right? And so I started asking these questions is like, well, what is, first of all, what is publicly advertising? So if you put a for sale sign in that yard, it needs to be in the MLS within 1 business day.
Right.
Right? So if you, so for example, like, when we sign a listing, we have our photographer who drives my face around on a car.
Which I've seen on the highways and byways
He
multiple times.
doesn't have a beard in that picture,
There's no
though, which
beard
is
in that.
really creepy.
And look, he's probably, what are you, 50 pounds lighter now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but
like, it's
look,
all around. Not
It's a good change. Like if I show up, they're expecting one thing.
They're
and
like,
then-
oh, this is a way better version.
Yeah, I was going to let that dude sell my house. You're way sexier.
exactly. Exactly.
Go.
But when we put Clinton will put a for sale sign in there while he's taking the photos, right? And then
Right.
we don't usually list their house for another 2 or 3 days, right? Because it takes time to edit the photos,
Yep.
and we only list homes on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But now by this guideline, I have to have it in the MLS
Yeah.
the next business day, or God forbid, the homeowner wants to delay it. Then I have to drive. Then he's got to go drive back and pick up the damn sign.
Pardon my French, but there are just so many fucking problems I see with this. And we are like 5 minutes into this podcast. So if somebody can comment between now and
Technically
the end,
9 minutes.
All right, 9 minutes in. If somebody can comment between now and the end of this podcast, one logical reason why this makes sense, then I will definitely entertain it and consider it. But one, you're trying to speed up the process that really shouldn't be rushed in the first place. If you want realtors to have value, then the marketing that they do and the systems and processes that they put in place to make sure that your home has the most exposure is part of their value. If you rush those, down to 24 hours, you're already alienating their value in the first place. And the second thing that you're not taking into account is we don't always have control over this stuff. Sellers have different schedules. They change their minds. Things happen in life. Like, if I sign a listing agreement and somebody wants to hold off for a few days, it's difficult for me to go back to a seller and say, hey, I know that, you caught a cold last night and you want to hold off for 3 days. Unfortunately, if you want to work with me, the law states that I need to put this in the MLS right now. So you're screwed. Make sure to hydrate because we need to start showings tomorrow. That's crazy.
Here's the thing is, though, are we doing, and I only want to say this because I like playing devil's advocate a little bit, are we doing typical coronavirus stuff, right? Like, are we making this something it's not? Because what it says is you can't market the home. It doesn't say the listing agreement can't be signed. Correct. Doesn't mean all this other stuff.
Yeah,
Then we have to yank it off, right? It just means that, at the end of the day, that was... Mark the hell out of that.
What are we doing? One, you can 100% see so what's happening right now is Derek is moving the camera.
Your sandwich
100% you can see my sandwich right now. Which shout out to Sarah for the sandwich. Thank you. Second, that was incredibly distracting. Maybe
Here's the thing, I do think that, like, yes, I agree with you. All of the pain in the ass part of it. Yeah. Here's the reality. NAR doesn't care about the difficulty it takes you to go and ask your seller to pull the sign out of the yard after you put it in too early, right? Like, as real estate agents, all of our inconveniences are the NAR is going to be like, shut up, we don't care, right? Like that part of, and that part of it I can deal with. Here's where I think it really jams sellers up, and I ran into this today. I actually had an expired respond back to me. And they were talking about, like, hey, we've already signed with somebody. Now, keep in mind, this was somebody who expired today. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? And real estate agents who do this, you know who you are.
Yeah.
But, like, this person already has their new real estate agent, but they just expired today, right? Like, our expired situation is pretty on point. You didn't expire yesterday.
Sure.
Today is when you come to market. You already have another agent. So that agent was lying. Right? And got the listing signed under false pretenses first off.
Exactly.
Brian's fully on camera about to eat the sandwich.
God, Derek, I told you not to do that.
And the reality is, like, just get it, dude. We're just going to be here. We're just doing this. It's first day back in the show.
There's a free sandwich.
And I think for ultimately for the sellers, what's going to end up being lost is the ability. I just sold one in Flower Mound that was sold completely off pre-marketing, right? It was a home that needed to be sold pre-marketing. How do we... Some of these properties aren't fit to go on MLS all the time. Yep. So what is... I just don't... I feel like the only reason this was put in there is because unscrupulous agents were not performing their fiduciary responsibility to sellers, and therefore all of us are being punished for it. Because otherwise it doesn't make any logical sense if it's not there to protect the seller, which means listing agents were fucking sellers over. But I hate that.
Yeah. Someone had to complain at a high enough level for this.
The whole contract's written because of lawsuits.
I mean, look at any other faction of life. Usually it's the lowest common denominator that screams the loudest, right? The person that this benefits the most is agents who don't know how to price and market homes. Because at the end of the day, if you have a willing buyer and a willing seller, it really shouldn't matter what price they agree at. They've both decided to enter into that contract. It's agents that don't really know how to pull comps, don't know how to market properties, just don't know how to provide real high level fiduciary service to their sellers that are sitting there whining, going, well, like these sold off market, we didn't have a chance or whatever. Like that's kind of weak agent talk at least in my opinion. So I don't think that there are very many really productive real estate business owners that were upset about this in the first place. I think it's relatively obvious where, what sort of faction of the real estate, industry this is coming from.
Well, and from that, so, when I'm looking at this and trying to decipher, right, who's this better for, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're trying to be better for our sellers, right? Our clients.
Is this better for the sellers, or this benefits buyers?
And that's the question. That's the question that I'm asking is are we truly looking out? Is this policy made to look out for the clients or the consumers, or was it really to look out just for the agents who were bitching enough to say, Kelderman held this property off market. I actually had a buyer for it.
Yes.
And he sold it. He actually double-sided it, and my client my client should have had the opportunity on it.
This is a 2020 experiment, and I'm not afraid to say this. This is butthurt legislation.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the effectiveness of selling a home. It has nothing to do with listing agents' ability to market a home. I'm not saying there aren't bad apples out there. Like that's not the argument I'm making. The reality is this is 100% as another thing that we are putting in place to protect the purchase consumer, and not putting in place to ultimately allow the seller to do their best. I feel like this is a direct response to prices are too high. All those types of things that don't allow, because there are segments of markets. I talked to Brian about this. Dude, when I got in the real estate industry in 2013, I was working in a pocket where hip pocket listings and the access to comps allowed you to dominate a specific market. And maybe it's to curb that a little bit.
Do you think that's unfair?
No, I don't think it's unfair, because here's the other thing. I also think there is an advantage to building up a dominance in a marketplace. We are, as real estate agents, we are actively taught to go in and farm areas and take territory. And then when we dominate a territory, everybody gets bent out of shape and wants to, like, it's just that you're on top of the hill, I want to push you off thing.
I'll give a prime example of what we're doing right now, right? Because of Corona, here in Dallas-Fort Worth, inventory levels across the counties are down over 22%, right? So Nate had a client who wanted to be in a particular area, right? Nate Fisher, an agent of mine.
Right.
And this buyer only wanted to be in a certain area with a certain schools. Guess what he did? He created his own inventory.
Yeah.
He called around, found someone who was willing to sell at the price the buyer was willing to pay, right? And signed a listing agreement. That person also became a client, and then they sold and bought. So I see it as these agents who did not do their fiduciary, in my opinion. All right, I've got a buyer.
This is NAR trying to protect their dues for the masses and not protect the agents who actually understand how to grow a business.
Yeah, because you were saying, this benefits. I don't even think this benefits the buyers, because it takes away the vested interest that an agent like Nate would have, and like, I'm going to go seek out an opportunity for you. Right now, it's like, well, I don't even know about opportunities until 24 hours before they hit the market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't even have that benefit anymore.
Well, and they're trying to, like, again, maybe reading into some of these bad apples that they could have put the home on the market, got multiple offers, and maybe driven the price up, right?
Sure.
But there's always the exception to the, like, that could happen.
That's a
anytime.
pricing
That's also
issue.
assuming that people want the most for the home, and that's what's most important to them. Outside,
Bingo.
thank you.
Bingo. And what
Bingo.
What we talked about on Tour Academy Mastermind this past Monday. So if you're not part of Tour Academy, go over and join it and join the mastermind group. That's just $22 or $20 a month, one of the two.
It's $20. It'll save you $2 a month right there. Boom.
Yeah, but just sign up for
Nick thinks you guys should pay more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been fighting them over that $2 for like a year.
I mean, look, we dropped $2 more worth of knowledge.
We're like, we're not going to do it.
On Monday, that was at least $2 worth.
It was easily
$22
We need Darian, Kristen, and Markel to chime in on all the knowledge.
Yes.
There you go.
But my point on this is, like, is this going to drive people once sellers are like, oh, I want to do this, and their agent's like, oh, I'm sorry, Matt, we're going to have to put your home up right away, or we can't start pre-marketing your home because it's got to go in the MLS and we've got a lot of showings. And they're like, well, fuck this. I'm just going to go to Open Doors.
Yes.
Well, and that's actually
the scary part about
so
this from the
Elizabeth
industry.
Austin just commented, and this is probably a good direction to take the conversation, is what is the motivation? So Elizabeth says, it doesn't benefit sellers, agents, or buyers, which I think we all concur with, right? So what is the bigger reason behind that? And I obviously, I think 5G is the bigger reason. But outside, outside of that, what is this? 'Cause this was a relatively lopsided vote. What is the larger premise behind why this makes sense to anyone who has ever sold a house in their entire life on the fiduciary side? What are we trying to accomplish here? Can anybody play the devil's advocate and say, here's the better part of it?
I think it's stupid. I mean, like, here's the thing: is I can't find here in this, and I will admit that I am not the person who typically seeks out tons of answers, and this one even seems obvious to me. I can't find the benefit for licensed dues-paying real estate agents
Well, there you
and
go.
buyers and sellers.
Do you want to turn this into a conspiracy theory episode?
I feel like we've gotten so much of that on Facebook lately. I don't want to go in there.
Well, this won't be about Corona or bats or murder hornets.
Okay.
I still, before
But
you go
you
into
just
this, hold
said
on,
dues-paying agents.
I need to know what the 5G thing is, because I don't
Well,
know.
No, I won't.
I'll be
do it.
honest.
I won't do it.
I'll be honest.
Bats have been infected with 5G. Bill
Yeah,
Gates
okay,
sent
there you
them
go.
to America to bite people, and now we have coronavirus.
5G.
That's it,
What is
bro.
5G? The
Figure it
internet
out.
thing?
I still need to know.
on my phone right now, broadcasting the show to the
Let me tell you
masses.
something right now. I just don't keep up with the G's on my phone. If you told me in 2013 that I had 5G, I'd be like, of course.
I'm
Like
still-
I never looked at the G's on my phone. I didn't know
that
which
means?
G
I was
had.
in Broken Bow and I had 3G. So I
Really?
think, was I okay?
So look,
Wow.
Broken
Well, you
Bow
were
is
safe, but you just didn't have a lot of connectivity.
Broken Bow's corona free then.
Yeah. I think that's how you know.
They were
Yes.
not practicing social
They were,
distancing.
see, they're not even practicing it here anymore. Brian even said this, and I just experienced it on my way here. I swung through the grocery store on our previous stop to this one to grab some other things.
Sure.
And like people are just straight up just
Dude,
marching
no
down the
one
aisles
cares
like
at all
gangsters.
anymore. It's ridiculous.
The arrows might as well be made of invisible ink. They don't care.
I want to turn this into the only business podcast we're listening to, and we go get that salon owner that got arrested.
Bro, can we angel invest in her? I will back her for sure. Talk about drive.
Yeah. Yeah. So go down your
You
conspiracy.
do
theory.
your hair, girl. No. Look, it's really, really, really. Here's the deal: we pay a certain amount of dues every single year. If you really want a conspiracy theory, it is very interesting to me that at a point in our economic progress as a nation where a lot of realtors may not renew their license, we may institute a policy that sort of levels the playing field between really valuable agents who know what they're doing and agents who are just barely getting by, but pay the same amount of dues as everyone else.
Gasp. The whole real estate industry is built off of us paying our hundreds of dollars a year.
So if you want to know why I sort of think we would give the edge to inexperienced agents in a world where information and value, make a difference as far as marketing your home, I might tip the scales towards we're doing this for a particular monetary reason.
it just,
But don't quote me.
I just haven't been able. Again, like I said, I'm not the smartest dude on this podcast. I'm not the smartest dude in the production room because Derek's way
I was
smarter
going to say,
than
we
me,
all
too.
got to sit next to Derek, so
I
none of
know.
us are the smartest.
We all have our moments.
You beautiful angel over there.
You want some sandwich?
The reality is, like, I've been unable to find a reason why this matters. It just doesn't matter. There's no, to be honest with you, I'll even flip the other side. I think so few homes get sold off coming soon that
this really wasn't
regulating it
even
is
a
waste of
problem to
time
begin
anyway.
with, yeah.
I'm not like, here's the thing is, I sit in listing appointments and I talk about my ability to do that, and we are able to get homes sold coming soon.
Right.
But the reality is 92% of the homes we sell typically
In
are
the broad
represented
scheme of things, yeah.
by a buyer's agent who I don't even know exists right now, with a buyer that I don't even know exists.
Yeah.
So like, it seems like it's a fight against a battle that nobody was fucking asking for.
100%.
And I can't figure out why it even exists in the first place.
You're burning down the whole house because one room was messed up, right? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense. The amount of market share that was really committed to off-market deals based on what I think is valuable intel from agents who are working their butts off was already such a relatively small percentage of the market anyway that doing this really alienates more people than you're helping.
Things makes everybody's job more difficult for zero reason.
How do we get into the NAR? Like, who's like? Is that is it a political game? I mean,
Yeah.
look, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm the first to admit that I have not paid attention to that side of this industry.
We all know a ton of agents who are part of NAREP and are part of MetroTex and our local boards and some of our national boards and all these other things. And look, here's the thing is, I see all of them being involved, right? And look, I'm about to say something that may piss off some people, and that's not my intention. But like, I see a lot of people being involved, but do I see a lot of things happening that directly benefit real estate agents? Like, I'm not saying NAR just sits out there and like lobs grenades our direction. Like, that's not what I'm implying.
Right.
But the reality is, like, stuff like this is a direct hindrance to us and an absolute advantage to iBuyer programs in a normal market. I understand coronavirus doing a lot of stuff, but this was pre-corona. This was voted on
This
way before. This has
policy
nothing
is
to do with
transcendent
anything.
of the pandemic. Like, this will affect people in any market environment.
It just doesn't make any sense to me, man.
Yeah, I agree. You're giving a huge edge to people that lean on convenience.
And look,
And that's
maybe
iBuyers
it's something
and-
that had we seen coronavirus, they wouldn't have went for, right? Like, our ability to stomp out the competition isn't like, it's not like Zillow's going to go away, but there's certain parts of their business that aren't doing very well right now. It's like, I'm getting a lot of calls about discounted leads.
I was going to say, there's all of the parts of their business they're not buying right now.
Yeah.
People aren't buying their zip codes or regions very much right now, so they're sort of hurting. I mean, I just feel like we're walking into a bear trap here. We're going to have to organize a militia.
Chauncey just commented. She's like, "I'll picket the shit out of this.
Dude,
give me my
Chauncey
sign."
would. Dude, shout out to our last studio.
Yeah, that was our
session
last
with
studio
Chauncey
Yeah.
Graham. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's killing it with YouTube, and it's
she's
been on fire. So I'm looking at this and trying to, we're still talking about. This helps Open Door.
Yes.
They're not big. No, I don't think. Are they even part of the MLSs? They're brokerages.
I don't think the intention of NAR was to help.
But they have to
iBuyers.
think of that.
Right.
You've got to think of the here's the thing. When you make a change like that, you've got to look at it. How do the consumers view this?
That's not how they looked at it. They,
I was gonna say, you have to, if you
the
have-
majority of their dues-paying members close less than 7 transactions a
That's
year,
what it
and this is
is,
a pussy
dude.
complaint by agents who can't hang. And I'm not afraid to say that on the show. Like, the reality is, we have never made any freaking excuses for agents who are going to have a mindset issue.
That is.
And if you are the type of agent who doesn't close deals and you complain about agents who do, you are a problem. And the reality is, the majority of the dues-paying members for NAR are agents who don't close the majority of the deals.
True. If you take the
They're
80
protecting their money, bro.
If you take the 80-20 rule, those 80 are not really that affected by Open Door because they're not doing a lot of deals anyway, but they're still paying dues. So you think about where the cash comes from.
They're whining about the Nick Goods
We
of the
are
world,
not the
Her
difference.
Groups of the
Yeah,
world.
But
people like us are not the difference makers for NAR as far as the financials are concerned.
But short term, this helps level it out. But long term, it pushes the majority into an iBuyer program.
Sure.
In certain markets.
I mean, now you're
think
talking
Dallas is a
about
little- I think
politicians
Dallas-
thinking long term, but
Yeah, and Dallas is a little bit different because we went through an iBuyer spurt. We're now seeing how that doesn't work when a
Yeah.
market isn't crazy hot.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of markets who haven't experienced that. I mean, Brian and I are part of a national group of real estate agents, and I mean, honestly, so are you. So you have an opportunity to interact with people in all these different marketplaces. And what I'm hearing is, dude, when Open Door laid off 41% of their people and canned 7% of their administrative staff, there were agents like who I'm very close with who didn't know who the hell Open Door
Yeah,
was.
they're-
And to me, that was like, how do you not know? You know why? Because it's not a factor in their market.
Sure.
So why would they? I don't know who Joe Buck Real Estate is in North Carolina Woodlands.
wouldn't it be crazy if Joe Buck had a real estate company?
It probably just as annoying
It would
as
be
sports
so
commentary. But the reality is, like, why would you know if it's not affecting your market? I wouldn't.
That's true. 100%.
But all right, where is the majority of the licensed real estate NAR paying members? They're going to be grouped up into where most of these iBuyer companies are.
Sure.
Right?
Well, yeah,
So-
that's why nobody's fucking happy about it.
Right. Yeah. But if no one's happy about it, did we have an opportunity? Again, this is me being ignorant right now. Did we have an opportunity to vote against this or oppose this?
And that's
Well,
okay.
Justin threw out the voting numbers. I didn't even realize
There you
were
go.
like
And so
800 people.
so Justin Nelson just put some up, and this is where we might have to eat a little crow because I am 100% the dude that'll be very passionate and talk shit about things on a podcast. But if I get an email about voting for something, it usually just goes right into my trash. So maybe I didn't do my due diligence on this either. I don't like the idea of it. I also didn't vote on it, and maybe I had an opportunity to. I don't really know how the process works.
And that's the reason why I bring it up, because look, we can talk shit about this all day, but we're also going to admit that
We're part of the problem.
That we are part of the problem.
course.
We're not going to sit here and be like, there needs to be a change, but I didn't vote.
Here's the thing: is question did anybody? I mean, everybody who listens to this show is probably a part of NAR. Otherwise, why the hell would you
Yeah.
listen to a show about real estate? But the reality is, like, did anybody know? I would like people to comment. Did you see an email
Yeah,
from
what?
NAR in August
Yeah.
about this potential vote?
What
that was
even
coming
is
up?
the voting process?
And I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm legitimately asking because there's a very real chance that it did go out, and I straight deleted that stuff.
Well, I went back to my emails and,
Of course,
and
Nick
tried to
keeps
find
every email.
Yes.
Of course he does.
I mean, I have 376,644 unread emails.
Holy
7 shit, no, that's verified. I'm looking at it. That's
I
probably
can't
too many.
handle that, dude.
I would
There's
think.
some things about your personality that are so squared away, and other stuff that makes zero sense.
How many of those are like?
300?
How many of those are like free trials you signed
Delete
up for
that
now you're
account.
subscribed to that stuff that you'll never?
Everything. He signs up for
free
everything.
trials.
Yeah,
I
this-
sign up with a fake.
He signs
email
up for
address.
everything.
Well, then what are you doing with that?
This is real stuff.
It's not.
There's no way of 376,000 real emails.
No, that's
you
how
haven't
I
read.
take 10 plus listings every single month. So go over to TOREACADEMY.com/take10.
Nice
Sign up
segue.
for the webinar. You're going to be prompted to sign up for Tour Academy for $1 because Brian won't get rid of that $1 trial.
No.
I want you to sign
I
up
want
for
your
the
dollar.
Corona discount of $27 or $197 lifetime
It's
access.
so not politically correct to call it that. I don't know. You
Brian's
only get
Corona discount.
listen. You only get the discount if you test positive. That's
God
what
damn
Nick
it,
is
you guys.
implying. That's not. You can't say it like that. That's not politically
We're
correct.
already not social distancing, and you dicks are just digging in deeper.
I'm so sorry.
So with that, I did not see an email going back to the
I
original.
didn't.
I did not see an
I
email
didn't.
that I could
Yeah.
vote, that I could vote for or against this, right? And I do know that at our local boards, or at least with TREC,
Right.
Texas Real Estate Commission, I do know that they have an open committee forum when they're making changes to contracts. I
Sure.
do know that there's.
Well,
you
I've
can
been
go-
asked to vote on other stuff. I do remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I voted on contract changes, all that type of stuff. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
I
you
wonder
off.
if
But
it's
yeah.
part of a larger thing that was sent out. You know what I mean? Like, was this one of those political moves,
Right.
Where something was sent out long ago. That was
Yeah.
it was all packaged together,
hid it in there.
and it was just kind of all like a thing.
They're
And
like,
then-
look, we're putting a bill together where you can drink while you're showing houses, but
because-
we're going to bury in there.
That would actually be genius. Reel in her drinking bill, and then they hide a bunch of shit under it. We'd all sign up for that so fast.
I'm like,
We'd be
hell yeah, dude.
Yes.
I've been doing this anyway.
Oh wait, we're all just hamstrung now. Great.
Let's go down a deeper rabbit hole, right? Why did the bigger brokerages that we're all a part of, why did we not know about this?
I'll be honest, dude. I really wish there was a more intricate answer to this, but I will just say my gut instinct, just sort of knowing the history of other kind of big move, like just take sort of the financial industry or take the Great Recession or anything like. I think we give way too much credence to how aware even big companies are of stuff. Like I think that they're just asleep at the wheel the way that anything is. Like
Sure, I
I
mean-
just don't think enough people raised enough red flags, or nobody really stood up and was like, "Hey, this kind of isn't fucking cool at all." Like
This one in particular, I will say the majority of the time, and we all work for bigger brokerages, right? And then there's Realogy, who owns a ton of stuff, which isn't represented at this table, but it's still another huge factor in this whole thing. I think there's some stuff that flies in the radar, and I do feel like EXP, Keller Williams, some of these other brokerages, they do a good job of fighting against some of the more dumb shit. That's what makes me think this thing, dude,
Yeah.
it weirdly got snuck in somewhere, because somebody is going to have to show me where this initially was, because I don't remember. I will tell you, had there been any communication about even just, I'm smart enough to understand that just eliminating coming soons is a big deal.
dude, it's a pretty big
You
move
wouldn't
with
have had to
minimal
explain
pushback.
this
Yeah.
to me for very long for me to become like a little bit irritated about it. And but I will also admit I'm somewhat oblivious. So the fact that all three of us, and I feel like what are educated viewers on our show, nobody has a clue about when this was introduced, leads me to believe this wasn't something that NAR really burdened us with, right? Like it feels like this just kind of happened,
Yeah.
and it's here, and I
It's
can't
just-
figure it out.
So go back to new agent Matt, who did not do a lot of listings. Put yourself in that mind frame.
Right.
This vote comes out,
Sure.
right? You're working over in whatever White Rock Lake,
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever Rock Lake.
Working with Gilchrist and Company.
That's what they
Yes.
call it.
Lake Highlands.
Gilchrist and Company,
They're like whatever dash White Rock
the
Lake.
king of hip pocket listings.
Right? And he was.
You hear this vote? Are you for or against it? New agent Matt, not a lot of listings.
I'm probably, here's the thing is, I would say I'm a selfish person when it comes to that kind of stuff, so I'm probably against it, because that dude, it doesn't benefit in any way. I understand why a buyer's agent might be against this on the surface. Again, I agree with what Elizabeth said. I don't think this benefits anybody, but it probably benefits a buyer more from an opportunity standpoint.
But how?
Well, just maybe because they at least get the opportunity to see it on the MLS. Here's the thing: is it only benefits the buyers that didn't have access to the agent.
That's
who had
what
a
it is.
listing.
I think it assumes that
It's the
it
mass
benefits
dissemination
buyers.
of information. That's all it is.
Yeah, it benefits buyers that assume like everything is going to be a multiple offer situation. You have a very limited amount of time. The reality is, if the new agent Matt was a fucking hustler, which he was, and was going out and actively trying to find opportunities
Sure.
for their buyers, it benefits new agent buyer agent Matt, because he's hustling more than the other buyers.
Like we already said earlier, we have the 80-20 rule. It should be called the 20-80 rule. We say it the wrong way, implying that 80% of the reality is it's not about that. Like it's not even about like paying your cap at your individual office, right? There's a law of diminishing returns when it comes to actually being a producer, where your numbers, meaning your production numbers, are really what they're selling. It's not about you being profitable. The agent inside our company who sells $2.5 million is just as profitable as me, who did $13.5, $14 million.
No, 100%. You're right.
They made the company just as much money. And I would tell you, because we're on a team and there's some different situations, I was actually less profitable for the office than the agent who barely made enough to cap, right? So, like, I think NAR works the same way. And why wouldn't they? At the end of the day, it's just more profitable for them to have multitudes of people. And like Aaron Foster even said earlier in the thread, the barrier to entry to this career is so low for a reason. It's not because it's not hard. And again, I will say this on the show. I hate that we compare ourselves to doctors and lawyers. You, as a real estate agent, you are not.
No, we're not.
Just understand.
I am.
You are handling a very important part of people's life that is just important to them potentially, but your education is not nearly on par.
You're not putting anybody's heart back together.
But you are helping them potentially make the most important financial decision in their life. It is important. And unfortunately, we are an industry where most agents aren't doing that enough to represent their clients properly. And I saw a thread yesterday on Lab Code, and some agent was like, well, let me know the agents who aren't being ethically responsible. I'll call them out. Here's the thing is.
What is ethically responsible? What are we talking about?
Mean? Yeah, what does that even mean? Because, again, your own confirmation bias is going to check in there real fucking quick.
You'll find the shit that makes you feel like you're right,
yes,
for sure.
And secondarily, like, most agents, they're not doing anything wrong that inherently. They're not spending enough time educating themselves, and they're misguiding clients out of their own stupidity. So at what point is it ethics, and at what point is it ignorance?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And I feel like we're just locked into this place with agents right now, and especially with this NAR thing. And honestly, the coming soon deal, I'm more worried about it from an iBuyer program than my ability to sell homes. I wasn't selling so many homes off market that it's like going to affect my personal business.
And even the ones you did probably would have sold on market anyway.
It's going to chase buyers to a program that fundamentally steals their equity and doesn't allow it ultimately at the end of the day to be consumed by the natural consumer anyways. Right? Like all they did. Here's the thing is, and I'm gonna say this is gonna piss some people off.
About to say it.
This is like Gary Keller taking away profit share for people who already left EXP.
What?
You're trying to fix a problem. You're trying to get the horse back in the barn after that bitch is like 10 counties away. Right? Like this is the same thing. You're trying to fix a problem that is already long gone, and all you're doing is affecting potential future profits because of it. It's stupid, dude. And if you're a KW agent and pissed off about that, like you're just drinking too much Kool-Aid. And if you're an EXP agent, don't call me because I ain't joining you. The reality is like
not yet.
It's not about that, but the reality is you're trying to solve a problem that's the problem is already left.
The problem's already exactly. You're trying. Well, that's the thing. You're trying to prevent a problem that's already happened rather than solve a problem that's present, right? And I'll agree with you there, right? This is a very bipartisan, I would say, podcast. We are with Keller Williams, and
Nick's with the EXP.
And Nick's with the and I will also second Matt on that. And you can at me or whatever, but Gary Keller, if we ever end up in a room together, I respect you very much as a businessman. I do think that was a bullshit move.
Well, that's not his move.
Well, I'm not even saying he's responsible for it.
That was
a pointless move.
That was the international.
It's a pointless.
Just whoever it was.
I agree, and we know people who've
By the way,
done that.
I went through all my emails.
All 374,000.
Well, those are just the unread ones.
Yeah, that didn't take long.
Nothing in there asking if I cared about my opinion on that.
No. And why would they ask?
So it just talked about after the vote was approved, there was 70 against it, and like 729 for it, or something like that.
So who the fuck votes on this shit that it was so lopsided? I'm sorry to pardon my French, but what are we doing here?
Let me ask you this: does this on the boutique side of the brokerages?
I think the French vernacular is boutique.
Boutique?
So maybe get it right.
No, it's the boutique brokerage.
Boutique. The boutique brokerages. Does this pull them out from being part of NAR? They pull out because you can still list on Zillow.
It's just such a dominant force, dude. What do you do?
I don't. Here's the thing: is the MLS?
It's not the listing and marketing side of it. It's sort of your agents and their registration and affiliation.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you
and the consumer's perception? Look, this pipe dream that we
like?
have.
You're not really a realtor anymore.
This pipe dream.
Well, you aren't. You aren't a realtor because you're not part of the.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But you are a licensed real estate agent or broker. Just like, all right, take the commercial side.
Yeah, sure. You're right.
Right, the commercial side is not. They're not realtors unless they're part of the realtor board.
Right.
Right. Guess
It's
what?
the same in like the stock market and stuff too. Like everybody used to have a Series 6, and now financial advisors don't. All so there have been other industries.
Does this have some of the brokerages pull out of being part of the MLS and NAR, create their own? Do they branch off and create their own? Does this start creating separation in there?
I don't know, dude. I mean, like, and here's the thing: is and I very candidly am not smart enough to understand if I'm gonna get in trouble for what I'm about to say, but where are Realogy, Keller Williams, and EXP on all this? Right, like very candidly, as massive brokerages, where are they at with standing up to this and being like, hey, look, just so you guys know, we understand that because the small boutique brokerages pulling out, it really doesn't mean shit. Dude, the 12 agent, the 70 agent brokerages aren't going to sting the MLS. They're not going to sting Netris. They're not going to sting anybody. You get Realogy, who Keller Williams touts themselves as the largest agent count, but Realogy has more agents in their company than anybody else. Between them, Compass, Keller Williams, and EXP. If all those guys would get on a stage with Dumb Dick from Inman News or whatever his name is, and actually get up there and talk about their ability.
It's gonna make it awkward. He's our guest next week.
What is it? I think it's Jeff Inman. That's not right. I know it's not right.
Greg.
It's Greg. I'm so sorry.
It does. I don't even know if it's Greg.
That might not even be right.
The reality is, here's the thing: is if everybody really wanted to
Brad.
do what was best, Brad. There you go.
Right,
We all had to
dude,
think
name,
about
whatever.
it. You know why? Because he's not somebody who matters
Sure.
news-wise. He's just somebody
Yeah.
who has a website that cranks out real estate news that you guys all drink up, right?
Yep.
So here's the thing. The reality is, if all of these companies got together and actually made any kind of a push to do their own thing, instead of focusing on whatever else they're focusing, right? I'm not going to single out any one of these companies,
Yeah.
but every single one of them is focusing on something else that individually benefits their brand, which they should do.
Mm-hmm.
And they should also be looking at a way for the 1.2 million real estate agents to be able to perform and function at an insanely high level
Yep.
without oversight that's actively hamstringing them.
Yep.
And those four companies specifically have the ability to do that. I mean, overnight. And they have actively not done it. And there's a reason why.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a
Because
great
they
point.
disagree on everything else.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, he makes a great because that's the thing. You're talking about boutique brokerages. They don't make enough of a dent. It's the big movers who aren't making moves over this, right? And it doesn't matter if every boutique brokerage goes a different way or whatever. You're just going to create a whole different
It's
sort
systems,
of
bro. Could you
you're
imagine?
going to create a subculture of real estate salespeople, but you're not affecting the broader
Could you
industry.
imagine a whole MLS that everybody had to be a part of? Like all real estate, and here's what I will say to those big companies as far as like I understand logistically the impossibility of it. There's a reason that when I log onto my Netris, it's still a dude with a 1990s haircut. You know why? Because it's probably 1990s technology, right? And the reality is it's hard to take 1.2 million people and switch them over to a new system, to take all those homes and all that data and move it to a new system. I'm not talking about the logistics of it. The reality is, I don't know what my NAR dues are every year. I'm guessing they're $500, $600, like if I had it all in.
Joan, if you're watching this, tell me what I pay.
Right?
Yeah,
Like, let's say it's $500 an agent, and I feel like it's probably more than that because I feel like I pay throughout it, but I don't know what goes to my local county, whatever. Let's say it's $500.
It's enough that
per
when
agent.
I see it on my invoice, I'm like,
Somebody real quick, just take 500 times 1 million.
Yeah.
It's 5 million, or wait, no, that's not right. It's 5, is it 5 billion? No, 500 million?
no, let's let him figure this out.
Time out.
500 times 1 million.
It's
I'm gonna make
500
it-
million.
It's 500
asshole.
million. Thank you.
The whole point is, you're telling me we
You
couldn't
did say
figure-
you weren't the smartest. in the
I
world.
did say that.
It's
But you're telling me-
$50 billion.
You're telling me with some semblance of that money, and I'm not saying the whole 500 million goes towards refiguring out the MLS, right? Like, I understand there's shit
Right.
that has to be paid and
For
people's
sure.
salaries and stuff. But you're telling me that problem can't be solved with those dues in a
That is
relatively
true.
short period of
This
time?
was already not an issue that they threw a lot of money at to make even less of an issue. But it wasn't a fucking issue in the first place.
But how much does the NAR? What is NAR's expenses? Right. I feel like
I agree with Foster too. It has to be done in tandem, right? Like you are right. One pulling out might chase people there. I will agree. This is probably something that people have to get together on and talk about behind the scenes and fully form a plan
Sure.
to absolutely fucking piss pound some other company. I'm not saying that it's not, but at the end of the day, you got 1 million people who are actively asking you to do something about it. Do you need a larger group of people
And
telling
that's
you
true,
they want to
man.
help?
I mean, England left the EU.
Markel left.
I'm not
England.
saying that's like
Meghan Markle.
that. Also, she was pretty set though.
She was.
I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying it did happen. You can't organize millions of people to make a big move.
Lobbyist.
I'm not saying this is a call to action, but if you're watching this,
You're all on
if you're
Facebook talking
watching
about
this on
tyranny
Facebook
or
and
not
see me
tyranny.
winking,
Everybody needs to rise up about something.
Yeah.
Everybody's on Facebook at COVID. You're like, we politicize this. You're either a tyrannical person
Exactly.
who wants me to stay in my house, or
stay
you're a
6
nice
feet
person
away
who
and
wants-
let's make our own NAR.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it together over Zoom.
Go to TOREACADEMY.com.
We just all join EXP and have our own avatars.
We still have like 10 minutes left. We kind of stalled out there, boys.
we
What else
did?
is going on?
I thought we were done.
No,
Nope.
we're almost done, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're 38.
Dude, you're
38.
so off on
3
your time.
seconds
Like,
also.
we're only 5 minutes in. We're
Okay,
fucking 10
so
minutes in.
from the guy who has 376,000 emails is telling me I'm off on something.
376,000.
What is it? Can we just spend the rest of the time on this? What are you doing what is in your email inbox that you're not? Okay.
Let's go.
I'm
through
kind
it.
of annoyed with you right
Yeah,
now.
I want to
You
know
have
what
it.
you're not responding to and what you are
I
responding
want
to.
to know I want you to scroll. I want to know what the first one is in that whole list that you haven't responded to.
Do
I want
you
to know the one
get,
that
do
kicked
you
this
get
all
the
off.
showing time alerts for your
Yes.
entire team? You know you can modify that, so that cuts down on 100,000 emails right there.
Yeah, you guys carry 40 listings.
Yeah, you can get the
I
you
love
can
that
modify
Nick
it so you
somehow
only
thinks
get.
he needs to know when there's a showing from one
Right.
of their 40 listings.
It's stupid.
Like somehow Nick's looking at it as like, got another showing on 123 Main.
Just letting you know.
That's
no,
some
you can
bitch.
turn those fucking emails off. That's so silly.
You can unsubscribe.
No, you can just turn them for every individual listing. You could have your VA or whoever go in there and not have them email you for every listing. That would be bananas.
Oh, God.
What else? What else is going on?
It's a good thing you lost all that weight since you put that skin on your car.
So many. It's
You're dumb.
I don't even know where to go with that.
Oh
Hey, why don't we just do this? Hey, Derek, get us out of here.
thank you.